You're listening to the Veterinary Innovation Podcast.
You're listening to the Veterinary Innovation Podcast. My name is Shawn Wilkie, and along with my awesome co-host, we interview the innovators in this space every week. Super excited to have today's guest on the show. Ivan, please go ahead and kick us off.
Hey, I'm Ivan Zach, and I'm excited to introduce you to Eyal Zukovsky. He was born in Israel, the startup nation, and after finishing 7.5 years in military service, last role was a company commander. He completed a degree in law and economics, Bar Ilan University, and an MBA focused on entrepreneurship, technology, and innovation, Tel Aviv University. Eyal is the CEO and co-founder of Kumba, developing software for mobile veterinarians. He is dividing his time between the US and Israel, where they currently live with his wife, two kids, and one mixed border collie Belgian Shepherd named Bella, who is the actual founder of Kumba. Yael, very exciting to have you on the show. Thank you for finding the time.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's great. Been listening to I think a lot of the episodes, especially from someone who is abroad and kind of the US as the target market. Then it's been really helpful kind of getting to know the market, to be honest.
Yeah, we're the market research for you.
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
that was not the goal, but
This is the least I can do is kind of show up for an episode.
what an impressive background! Wow, military in Israel, which is I think it's the best in the world, and I know it's actually some Israeli soldiers, volunteers helped us in Ukraine. So thank you for that. Um,
Yeah, absolutely.
Man, remember when we were in the Ukraine, Ivan? We Benjamin Netanyahu sat next to us in that restaurant. We got to see all the Israeli
that's
military that day.
right.
That was crazy.
Yes, yes, we had dinner, and he just walked in with all the security, and it was the first visit of Israeli prime minister in like 13 years, something big. So it was
Wow.
like this big visit, and we're in this dinner, and it's like him coming in with security. Anyway, it
Yeah,
was pretty
pulled up
cool.
and sat right next to us. It was something.
But let's pull it back into why we're here. So you created this software, Kumba, that
Yep.
helps mobile veterinarians to manage their business. Why don't you tell us more about it? And for those that are hearing it for the first time, what does it do, and how did you start doing it? And how did Bella consider you as a co-founder?
The short version is that we lived in Tel Aviv. Our schedule was very busy. We had just had Yuval, our first son, and things became even more busier. So we decided to check on the option of getting a vet to the house. I Googled, I found a guy named Sergey. He was a mobile vet just starting his business. So we bonded kind of over the phone. He asked, yeah, if I can help him get some more customers. So I said yes. I posted his kind of time of arrival to the neighborhood Facebook group, and it was a Sunday, and he got 8 appointments
Oh
that
wow.
Tuesday. So I kind of said it's interesting because it happened like in an hour, and everyone were like, boom, boom, boom. Yeah, I need this, I need that, and I got everything organized for him because I sensed that there's something interesting here. So I kind of took a map, a Google map, put everyone on the map, got their chief complaint, organized them by kind of ETA for him, did everything kind of manual, and did the route with him. And kind of at the end of that evening, I understood that there's kind of an opportunity here.
That's crazy, yeah. So yeah, it's always a situation where you kind of find yourself in, and then all of a sudden there's like, whoa, there's an opportunity here. So catch us up to kind of like current day. So I know you guys like are in the U.S. now. I happen to
Yeah,
know your co-founder Bar Hadar. I think he's spent a bunch of time in Austin, and you guys have some customers in the U.S. So what
right.
does Kumba do today, and what's the state of the business?
Yeah, so right now we have started in the US after operating in Israel. We launched in Israel right before the pandemic. We were actually supposed to launch in the US, and the pandemic kind of changed our plans a little bit. So we've learned a lot about kind of the needs, took time to build the software in Israel. And now we have a few mobile vets operating in the US using Kumba. Today, we're giving vets a tool to kind of manage their whole routing and scheduling because we think that this is kind of one of the biggest pain points and also kind of biggest opportunities for them to expand and scale their business. So we took that pain point and we said we're going to solve that for them, and let's take it from there.
That's really interesting. So the first thing that comes to mind for me is like, the little car that you see on Lyft or Uber when you're doing a ride share. And I know that they're using Google Maps in most cases to like leverage the Maps API. Do you guys use the Google Maps API? Is that how you're able to optimize the scheduling and the routing?
Yeah, so what we do on the back end is let's say that a vet has 100% of appointments. So between 50% to 80%, there are kind of recurring appointments, existing clients. And between, let's say, depends on the vet, between 20% to 50%, it's kind of same day, next day appointments. So our back end, we take care of all of the kind of recurring appointments, follow-ups, annuals. We take everything we take all of your future next year appointments and we cluster them in an efficient way. And then instead of just saying, just send out reminders and wait and see what happens. So we say, no, we're kind of trying to kind of foresee everything and say, okay, you don't need to even work every day because we can cluster your schedule and make it much more efficient.
That's excellent. So for the mobile vets, and that was my major problem because I tried to be a mobile vet and I
Yeah, yeah,
failed. I should say I
I know
failed.
that. Yeah.
How did you know that he failed? The word is out,
Because
Ivan.
and I've
I,
listened
I
to
was
Eve's
talking about in
podcast
previous
yesterday
episodes.
and I was, yeah,
Yeah, and I failed because I couldn't get enough appointments in a day. You can visit like 5 people, and then you're just not efficient. So you're taking away that pain
yeah.
point that I may reconsider now. I'm going to go
That's
back
my
to
goal
mobile
for
vet
this
in New Brunswick
episode to get you
to
back.
convert
I
Yeah.
can
me.
drive the van if you want, Ivan, maybe.
Yeah.
It's interesting, Ivan, because we see kind of a burnout 2.0 because mobile vets, they have great demand. So they take out every appointment that they can get and they like it. They get to be their own bosses, better revenue, and a lot of great things happening. And then they just experience the way I kind of see it. They get great demand until a point where they just can't handle
Yeah.
it.
It sounds like the Uber driver that's driving 14, 15 hours a day, right? He's like, I can just keep going. And, there's money at the end of the rainbow.
No, but they're optimized there. The problem with the mobile vet
Yeah.
that you're not, and then you need to like think about it. You need to call, you need to establish
Yeah.
that. If you're a mobile vet, you're not likely to have a receptionist that does that for you. So you're taking all administrative burden
Absolutely.
on you. So this, I think that's what Kumba is solving for you. But what is the experience is their effect on the actual end client? So what is optimized for them when they have and want this experience on in-home mobile vet, and
Yeah.
what do they see? Is it the reminder that comes into them and they can book an appointment automatically? Like, what is that user interface?
Yeah, I think that, and from the pet owners or pet parents' point of view, not a lot has changed because even if you take the pilots we did in Tel Aviv and in Chicago, the visit itself is very similar, I think, and we also understood that in order to make it simple for the owners, like why aren't a lot of them are using in-home care because it's great. So we understood that in order to make it simple for them, what we should do is make it simple for the caregivers, for the vets. So for them, yeah, they're getting just, let's just call it kind of smart reminders. So to get a few options, but on the back end, we're looking at the world from the mobile vet's point of view. So whatever he chooses, it's good for the vet. So we're also kind of helping him or her set boundaries without doing anything because they just say, I'm working, that's my schedule, make it efficient. And that's what we do.
That's amazing and really interesting. So, I mean, it's such an interesting time in veterinary medicine around the world. And, it's just kind of interesting that you're kind of in the other side of the world. Veterinary medicine's the same. People would like to have in-home vet care. And, to some degree, I think that there could be a much bigger, broader future for mobile vets like around the world. But you still have these optimization challenges. And I'd really like to understand how you think of the CL. If I'm a veterinarian in a well organized clinic, I'm probably seeing anywhere between 15 and 30 pets per day. If I'm a mobile vet, even if I'm super duper optimized in a tight geographical area, how many pets per day am I able to see? And why do you think, mobile veterinarian is the way of the future where you, in a well organized practice, could see so many more pets?
Yeah, that's a great question. So, I think that the current situation is we see that, it's not working as good as it can. The burnout, so veterinarians and clinics, they're considering other options. And, even for pet owners, getting an appointment in the clinic could be something that is complicated. And, you can get an appointment in a month and more.
I think you could even go as far to say it's complicated or impossible. I even had a friend in his hometown that called every vet clinic in town, I think 9 of them, and couldn't get an appointment.
Yeah. So I'm saying we're, eventually it's a game of alternatives. So the alternative, what's happening right now is, I don't think, kind of from my experience, is working as, there's room for improvement. And also a lot of places that are underserved. Opening a brick and mortar clinic is complicated, and a lot of areas in the US are underserved, and I think other places around the world. And we saw that a lot can be done in home. So our vision is to have kind of your primary caregiver is the mobile vet. He doesn't necessarily has to kind of own a clinic. In Israel, we got a great public healthcare system that works exactly the same. So you got your primary caregiver. You don't necessarily meet him. It's just remote, and you can come to the office, but it's very simple. It's, let's say, equivalent to what the vet is coming to your house, and it's working amazing. He's referring you to emergency centers, referring you to clinics, and he's kind of managing the case. So, in our vision, that's what we see. We see that you don't have to open your own physical clinic. You can just open your virtual clinic and have your clientele Mondays, Wednesdays, Fridays in a very efficient way. You can do house calls and also online remote consultations, and of course referring to clinics. And going back to your question, we are able to make it very, very efficient. Actually, the vet is the one kind of dictating how efficient we try to make it, because he decides on the length of the time slot that we're offering. So if someone says, I want it to be 4 hour time slot, I want it to be 2 hour time slot, it affects how good our algorithm can make it. So we have seen vets who do 3 appointments an hour.
Oh wow, so it's almost as efficient as in the clinic.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And then the other thing I'm just going to jump in here, Sean, like to your question, that as I'm thinking about it, there's no overhead. That's the main thing, because in the clinic you can do a number of appointments. You're working for someone or yourself, but you have all the staff, you have all the lease, electricity, all the stuff that goes into your overhead. It's not in the mobile. I mean, that's your car and you, and if you have an assistant with you. So I think there's a definitely a an upside there as well. But then is if someone wants to become a mobile vet like myself, I failed, I'm like, hey, should I try it again? Or someone is thinking, I'm working for someone but I would like to do it on the weekends and try. Is there help in sort of learning how to do that? Because it's a big leap for someone who is like, especially
Absolutely.
a new grad.
Yeah.
Is there something that you guys provide that will help them to learn how to start your mobile business?
So it's also a great question. In Israel, I think 70% of the vets we had, they were veterinarians who worked in the clinic and just decided to open their own practice. And we also had a few vets who kind of left the profession to go to work for tech companies. And then they said, okay, I want to keep that touch working with as a vet. So that's kind of a different persona that we were actually targeting, and kind of reaching out to people who want to become mobile and told them, let's give you kind of a full solution to make it easier. Right now, we're focusing in the US helping existing mobile vets scale and grow their business. But to your question, that's definitely something that we're planning to do. We've been talking a lot with Eve. I think she's doing an amazing job. Dr. Eve Harrison, kind of helping these veterinarians who want to become mobile, because it's great. Like, it's interesting. They have issues with what equipment should I buy? How do I price? We've seen this coming back every time. The pricing issue. How do you price yourself and your products? And in the future, I think, of course, right now we're able to already help vets who want to become mobile, make it easier for them, for sure. But yeah, we'll be focusing on that more and more.
Little training program sounds like a great idea. It's really interesting, and I mean, it's a good thing that this is not a podcast for pet parents, because I would get in all kinds of shit for about what I'm about to say. But years ago, I met a lawyer who's a friend of a friend's father, and I said, how's your business? Being pretty ignorant at the time, and he said, well, 2 years ago was awful. I was working 80-hour weeks, it was insane, and then I doubled my prices. And the next year I was working 60-hour weeks, and then I doubled my prices again. And now I'm working 30-hour weeks. I've got more money than I've ever had. And I'm really enjoying my life and the quality of life I have. And I've often wondered this about vet med, especially in the crisis. And I mean, it's not going to help pets get care, but for some opportunistic, mobile vets that want to have maybe a concierge business, or, have a light workload and provide a high touch service, I think that this idea of mobile vet care is a really unique one, and it could really offer people a quality of life that maybe they don't have in their current capacity.
So I think that becoming a mobile vet or being a mobile vet could be a great opportunity for veterinarians. We saw that, we're able to make mobile vets 2.5 times more efficient. So spending 53% less time on the road, a lot less phone calls regarding scheduling. And I think that what Ivan said about less overhead, and we're making this much more efficient for them. So really creating kind of a win-win-win situation to everybody here. So for the owner, it's much more convenient. For the pet, it's great to get treatment in its natural environment. Of course, I'm not saying that you don't need the clinics or emergency centers, but for the mobile vets, they're able to provide, educate their customers, make more money, which is important. Coming back to your story, they don't have all the overhead, so, and they're also their kind of their own bosses, and we have a bunch of solutions for them. So one of the solutions is also kind of the option to refer to a clinic, or refer to a colleague, or even refer to a technician. And in Israel, we had a network of clinics, so we saw how great it is that mobile veterinarians are referring to clinics, and we saw clinics referring back to mobile vets. And it worked amazing. Like, the clinics were, I'm talking about them because they were also part of the win. So instead of just getting, kind of, no disrespect, but getting appointments for vaccines or taking out all of the clinic's time, they were getting kind of educated clients walking into the clinic after they were screened by a vet, and also it made the clinics more profitable. So in our solution, I think we're trying to build that platform or that ecosystem where mobile vets and clinics can live together, and, make it better for everyone.
Makes me want to go back to the mobile space. I think I'm missing out all of these people that we had recently and teaching us how to do that. For anybody who wants to check out Kumba, please go to kumba.pet and check it out and learn what is the better way to manage your mobile service. And we finish every episode with the same way. We're asking two questions. Question number one: is there a book or TED talk or a video or something that inspired you and that you could suggest to our listeners?
Yeah, so last few years, I haven't been reading physical books, but I think every month I'm finishing kind of an audiobook, listening to audiobooks.
I do the same. It counts. It counts.
Yeah, it counts, and it's much better because it's an interesting tool. Because if you want to learn something about marketing, or you want to learn something about product-led strategy, then you take an 8-hour book and you finish it, with 6 hours. You listen it faster, and then you can just summarize it. So if you put like 2 time slots of 3 hours or 3 of 2 hours, and you just sit down and listen, it's a great way to kind of get knowledge and quick. So one of the last ones that I've heard was Atomic Habits. And I think it's great for everyone because it kind of helps you. That's who I want to be. That's what I do every day. And it kind of helps you kind of bridge that gap because everybody wants to be here and you got to do something about it. Then it teaches you how to create those small habits, those small changes. It teaches you that they mean something, and eventually you'll get to where you want to be.
That's
So
awesome.
Atomic Habits, yeah.
Yeah, I love the book as well. And then the last question we've got for you is another innovator that you think that we should have on the podcast.
Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, you've ruined it with Eve Harrison. Already had her on the show because I think she's great. I thought that we have in Israel, I think the biggest referral center. The owner, his name is Zev Gantz.
I know Zip. He was one of the first users of SmartFlow.
Ah, okay, great. So, yeah, Zev is actually kind of full disclosure. He's one of our earliest investors.
Oh, I can see that. He's an entrepreneurial guy.
And yeah, so he just has had now a new referral center, and I think Zev is all about innovation, and he's doing great work. And I'm talking to him every once in a while, consulting with him. I think he studied in the States, and he spent time there as a vet. And I think he would be a great person to interview.
Thank you so much for listening to the Veterinary Innovation Podcast. If you want to hear about our new episodes, please follow us on any social media channel. Also, you can check out our website at veterinarynnovationpodcast.com. See you next week.